Hey guys, it's Dayna, and it is day 6 of 31 days of pursuing wisdom. And you're getting me tonight in all my glory, no makeup, no anything. It's midnight, and I was going to wait and do the video on 6 and 7 together, and the Lord began to speak to me. I had just been super busy today, and He just began to speak to me, especially about this verse, because there was so much in this verse, and I'm just going to be real transparent with you. I had already laid down and I got back up to do this video because 6 is the number of man, and this proverb is so much about don't be sluggish. Consider the ant. Look at everything that she does. You're snared by the words of your mouth, because your words are a vow. When you make a vow, you're held accountable for them. And so in that first verse, in the second verse, it tells us that we're held accountable. It says, if you're snared by the words of your mouth, you're taken by the words of your mouth. And so if you know that your word is your oath. And so when you make an oath or a promise to someone, those words are in the atmosphere. And it's very important that when we tell someone something, that we do it to the best of our ability. Sometimes things happen, but the word says that we're held accountable for the words that we speak. Matthew 12:36 says, every idle word that man shall speak, he shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. And verse 37 says, by your words, you will be justified or you'll be condemned. And so we have to be careful by this. Our mouths will snare us a lot. It's not just about gossip. It's not just about slandering someone. Wisdom tells you to be careful not to say things out of order or out of context. Or, I had given an oath and a vow that I was going to do this. Now, I did say I may not do every day a video, but as I laid down in the bed tonight, the Lord began to speak to me. He said, consider the ant. You've just read all of that. 6 is the number of man. Are you going to give into the flesh and lay down because you're tired? Are you going to get up and give, what I have given you, whether you think it's perfected or not? And so I just got up. Sometimes we just have to be obedient to what the Lord tells us to do. And that's wisdom, because we have to seek wisdom. We have to seek instruction. We have to seek the understanding. And that comes with doing it. When you hear his voice, when you hear the instruction of his voice, you just do it, and it breaks something, whether it breaks something off of me. Always. There's nothing that I speak on that I've not had to chew up myself, and I'm pretty transparent before people. And so I'm just being real with you tonight. I get on here, I'm going to do this video, and I have no makeup on, so nothing. And so what you see is what you get. And so I will tell you that Proverbs 6 is broken down from verses 1 through 5 are the words of wisdom, or parental consent, or parental counsel, not consent. The life, and then it's life lessons, verses 6 through 15. It is 7 things that God hates in verses 16 through 23. And it's truth or consequences in verses 24 through 35. And so that's how it is broken down. And so the main thing I want to tell you in verse 1, when it's talking about don't be basically a cosigner or a guarantee for your friend. It's not telling us not to help someone. What it is saying is avoid commitments that are beyond your abilities. If you can't co-sign on a $500,000 house if you can't pay for a $500,000 house. You just can't do that. And so you don't go beyond your abilities. And that's with anything. That's not just with finances. That's with anything that we do. We don't need to go beyond our ability to be able to do it. And so, like I said, I had laid down in the bed and I thought, okay, Dayna, you gave your word. You're going to be snared by the words of your mouth. You just read all this. And so I wanted to get up and I wanted to give you what I had. And so it's not beyond my ability to do this. Was I going to choose to go on and go to sleep like the ant, like it said that it tells the ant? That's one of my favorite parts. It says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. She has no guide or overseer or ruler, but she provides meat in the summer and gathers food in the harvest. How long will you sleep, O sluggard? When will you arise out of your sleep? Yet a little sleep and a little slumber, and a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall poverty come to the one that travaileth, and want as an armed man." In the Passion Translation, there's a part of that is like crazy the way it says it. Let me see if I can find it really quick. It says, "Wake up, sleepyhead. How long will you lie there? When you wake up and get out of bed, if you keep on nodding off and thinking you'll do it later, or say to yourself, I'll just sit back for a while and take it easy, just watch how the future unfolds. By making excuses, you'll learn what it meant to go without, because poverty will pounce on you like a bandit and move in you as a roommate for life." Move in with you as a roommate for life. I thought, wow, that's a neat way to put it. And that word bandit there, literally that it'll pounce on you. Right here in verse 11, it'll pounce on you like an armed man. That word there is, it's vagabond. And a vagabond, we all know what a vagabond is, but that's someone that wanders, who walks away. And so sometimes we can just get sluggish in some things that we're doing, and we'll end up walking away from it. And so we have to be careful with that. That vagabond spirit is what was on Cain when he began to wander about. Instead of staying in the house like a son, he began to wander and walk away. He walked away from the Lord. And so we have to be careful with those kinds of things, because we don't want that to become a roommate for life, right? And this is another thing it talks about. It talks about in the parable, did you know that the ant only lives 6 months, but yet it stores more food than it will ever consume? We should learn that wisdom of preparing for the future and frugality in the present. I kind of like that. So, and then there was some things in another one of my footnotes that I wanted to go over about the ant. It says, there was a lots of things that it said about the ant. And you know what's so funny is that when you see things like this in the Word, you may not know this, but if you actually go study like encyclopedias and different things about it, okay, what about the ant? Lord, what are you really saying in this? Let me go study what an ant does. And the Lord will begin to speak to you that way. And so you just have to listen to what he's saying. But there's a few things that I wanted to read to you about it. It said they're most laborious insects in existence. They're most highly industrialized. They collect food in proper seasons. They're fondly attached to their young. They have keen foresight for others. They work quietly without show. They work unwearily until work is done. They work together in astonishing systems of organization to the best of the good for the whole community. Isn't that something? And so we need to consider those things. They're ingenious carpenters and masons, building their own systems of homes and underground tunnels. They keep their homes scrupulously clean. No one among them exists without a definite job in life to help meet the needs of the community. That means there is none of us that doesn't have a plan and a purpose. Amen. Fight to the death to protect their own homes and their young for enemies. Their social life compares with that of human beings in many aspects. They're intelligent and wise, and they carry out life's work without being forced to do so by a guide or overseer. That's the big thing about an ant to me, because I say this a lot, because in our house, we're more like a family, and I really try to teach sonship, and people come in and they get irritated at me because I don't have a rigid structure. I don't give out, you got to do this, 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 and this. Do I bring order? Yes, but I give you choice. It is not about you being a servant. It is not about me paying you. It is not about me telling you what to do and giving you a list of rules. In that kind of structure or direction, I will cast a vision, and you have a choice to grab hold of that vision and catch it. I cast it, and you got to catch it. And that means you're going to do work exactly like this ant. I don't have to oversee you. I don't have to watch over you. I don't have to say to you, you need to get up right now, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. It's, I give you the choice to do it, and you can choose to do it or not do it, because that's how the Lord does us. That's a fathering thing, that he does. He gives us free choice. And so it's sometimes hard because, he doesn't make us and tell us, you got to read 5 chapters in the Bible a day. You got to do this, you got to do that. I think we have to hear him, and we have to seek him. And that's one thing about the ant. Sometimes we wait for people to teach us the word, to get revelation for us before we start. And he's wanting us to be like that ant. Dig into this word. Begin to ask the Lord for wisdom. Begin to ask him, how do I study in a deeper way? Show me more about this. And you begin to seek into that. You begin to, in just exactly what this says, you begin to really go after it. You begin to build. You begin to be ingenious. You begin to labor for it, basically. Like doing things sometimes you don't want to. Get up 30 minutes earlier so you can read an extra chapter, or worship him for an extra hour, or pray an extra 30 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is that you set your goal for. But, the ant goes and does it anyway without somebody telling them. And so to me, that is what sonship is. That's being a son, is that you hear what he says. This is what all this wisdom has been about. All of these things. You hear the instruction, you follow it, you write it on your heart, you put it around your neck, and you do it. Because when you do it, that it breaks something off of you. It's like when I lay down in the bed, I got convicted. I had to come do it. Whether I felt like it was perfected or what I felt like it needed to be, it didn't matter. I had to do what the Lord told me to do. And when we do those things, it literally dies to our flesh. We don't give in to our flesh, but we begin to move in a greater anointing of what he's called us to do. And so that's really about all I have to say. You got the 7 sins in there, the things that are an abomination. We've all read them. We all know what they mean. I'm not going to go over those things. If the Lord has me go back, I will. I just want you to know that the Lord has his hand on you, and he's watching you. And again, it goes into the end of that about the evil woman and adultery and different things. And I still think that that's talking about, I know it's talking about we're not supposed to commit adultery, but I still think it's about getting pulled back into a religious system of man-made laws. That's being a servant. That's not a son. That's being a hireling, a hired hand, because you're doing it out of obligation or whatever reason. The Lord wants us to choose to do it, and choose to do it with joy, because we love him and we understand how much he loves us. And when you understand how much he loves you, you'll do it because you love him back. And so that's really what it's about. That's the best wisdom that I can give you, is just allow the love of God to permeate every part of who you are, every part. And it changes you. It changes you from the inside out, and you're never the same again. You see people in a different way. The grass is greener, the sky is bluer, and people are beautiful. And that's really wisdom. And it is when you stay diligent to what the instruction of his word is given you. Without him, Craig always says, we're not a coffee cup. He doesn't put a handle on our back and move us around. And that's so true. He just doesn't do that. He gives us the instruction. We have it here in the word. And if we'll follow it and be doers of it, we'll be renewed. And so you be blessed. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.